Hey guys, welcome back to the Clack Shack. I've got a jig update for you. For those of you that run my jigs, I've got a bit of an update, and I'm going to walk you through and show you how the update works. I will go ahead and throw it out there because this update is specifically for the rail extensions for the D1. It's not where I made a mistake. It's not an adjustment that I had to make because of a variation in the machine or whatnot. So I'm going to throw it in as a second file. And reason being is not everybody's going to need this piece. And I don't want to, as the file gets bigger for my interchangeable jig, I don't want to keep adding stuff to it until we're either, I'm basically just throwing everything in the same box. So I'm going to list this one separate on Etsy. If you don't want it, you don't require it, then you don't have to get it. But if you do want it, if you do think it's something that you would want to have, then you'll be able to get it. But I'm going to go ahead and move the camera over and get over here to where you can see. I just got through cutting out all the parts so that I can demonstrate this for you because I don't have the extended rails, therefore I don't need this. This is a file that I specifically built for all of you guys that have bought the extended rails. And I had heard that it was an inconvenience in certain situations, so I came up with a method of making it less inconvenient. So stick around for a minute. All right, guys, here we are. I finally got my first usable piece of manufacturing off my lathe. I had a rotten hammer handle that broke on me, and so I fashioned myself a new one. It's a little beefier than the one that came off of it, and I hope it holds up. But anyway, the reason we're here today is with the added length to the XTool D1, I had a few guys complain that with the extensions on it, that it made the jigs kind of hard to reach because your machine's so much longer. More specifically, I had a complaint that the rotary was either not far enough or just hard to get to. Like I said, guys, I don't have the extensions, so I can't say what exactly the problem was. But if you are having problems with your extended rails causing an issue with being able to reach over and work on those tumblers, and you want to have a lot bigger distance, but you like the concept and you're good with the jig concept and you want to continue it, you can actually you can flip this around and have the locking bar on the antenna end of the machine, but the only problem with that is the antenna will rest on the jig here, and either you got to cut that out or take the antenna off. So a lot of folks apparently wanted to leave the machine configured as it was and keep using their jig kit the way that they had it. And it was requested that I bring everything down closer to the user on this end of the machine, and so that's what I've done. This is my new jig extender kit, which will fix the problem of being able to reach these jigs for the guys of you that have the extensions. And it works with every jig panel that I make. It works with them. Like I said, they're all interchangeable and can be moved around. So if you have any of my jig files, you can use this. All it basically does is it brings the teeth of the teeth of the locking bar here and just brings it down and adds you about an extra foot or so to the overall length. Now, I've had a few people ask me before about making bigger jigs. So if you're one of those folks that for whatever reason you want to, instead of having just 6 coasters, you want to do 12, you can do that with this. Because you could actually cut these as jig panels, and I could see to where you could cut, you could cut square coasters in this one and round ones in this one, And even though you're not necessarily using this jig for coasters, it would still serve the purpose as an extender. And to be quite honest with you, if you're one of those guys that has the big long machine, if every jig panel you made using this template, then you could lock them, each one of them together. I mean, you could lock 3 of them together and have a really long jig then. But that would be another thing that I would do if I were one of the guys that has the long machine, is I would just start using this as my jig panel. And that way, if you do want to add another jig to your panel, you just add it down here, and you could have square and round. You could have business cards and dog tags. You could have, you could have rounds up here, and then just have your square and jig down here for doing odd and end things. And you could come up with pretty much any combination that you wanted to for your jig setup. So that's the latest addition to my jig kit. But like I said, since this is not going to be something that everybody's going to need, I don't want to include it in the other pack. And if I did that and then, the price went up or whatever, the folks that have already purchased it would, so the easiest concept for me to do is for this panel is I'm just going to do it separately. It won't be the $3 that the whole kit is, but I'm going to put this on there, put it in my store, and I think I'll probably list it for $2 just so I can get a little something off of it after Etsy's through with me. But the more questions and the more things that y'all guys send me, the more innovation I'll throw into this to try to keep it working for everybody. So if you have a long machine now, if you've upgraded and you've got the long machine, this, to me, if it were me, this would be my jig panel from that point forward. And the reason is like I said, you can use it. You can use it up here, or you can connect 2 of these together. I mean, you can mix and match your jigs however you want. So that's the big topic there. That was what I wanted to let everybody know about. I have already had somebody use this. The guy that mentioned it to me, that my jigs needed to be longer, I sent it to him to test for me and see if it helped the issue, and he said it did. And then of course I've cut it and used it to make sure that all the cuts line up and everything fits as it should, and we're good on that. But that brings me to my second point. I've had a lot of people, apparently they know about my jig kit, but then they get their honeycomb. They're like, man, I love the honeycomb, but I can't use it because of I love the jig kit, but I can't use it because of the honeycomb. I don't know if you missed it or not, but I actually made these little guys here. And what these do are these, and they're marked. You got left front, left rear, and right rear. And what these do is you cut these files here and basically build them up to where they are as tall as the honeycomb. And depending on the thickness of the material that you use, you may have to have like these. This is 4 pieces to get up to the honeycomb, or you want to be just below the height of the honeycomb. And so you might need to do 5 pieces. You want the jig panel to still rest on the honeycomb, but you don't want to lose that inch. Or even if you only made them 3/4 of an inch like this, then at least you gain back that adjustment on your module. These also serve as a way of holding the feet to your workstation. So if you're working on a spoil board, once you get these put together, if you wanted to glue those, or if you wanted to drill a hole and put a screw through these to hold them to your table, that's an option as well. I have 2 sets of these in the download, because recently I've had some folks come to me. Most of the legs are 25 millimeters, but there has been a couple of reported variations of leg sizes. I don't know if they got a different batch of metal or what, but there's 2 sizes in there. You're gonna need to measure your legs and make sure that you get the right file, because if you get the one that's bigger than this, there's gonna be slop, and it's gonna let your machine move. So what way those work is they're intended to put the honeycomb in the middle, and if you put the little plastic pieces on it that came with it, this should be a really snug fit. It'll hold that honeycomb still so it doesn't wiggle around. It'll also keep it square with the machine, and it spaces it up enough that you can still use the jig panel. So, but anyway, guys, I just wanted to let everybody know about that. And there's a video on putting these things together. I'm not going to go through that again because we've been there and done that. I will drop a link to it in the video here, so watch for the little pop-up up top, and I'll link the video in if you don't understand how to put these together. These little small holes are for toothpicks, which work as dowels to line them up for the glue up, so that you don't have to worry about them getting twisted around. But there's an in-length video that explains those and demonstrates them it being used and all that. I just didn't want to break my machine down and bring everything over to do something that we'd already done once. So like I said, just watch up top and I'll share that video of that honeycomb adapter or honeycomb spacer, whatever you want to call them. But they are also in my Etsy. All right, guys, how's it look? Finish up this video right here behind my portable clack shack. And this, if you missed the video, this is actually going to be my craft show event on the road place that I'm going to be. I'm going to be building an enclosure. I'm going to be working on my computer, and this will be my portable clack shack. So we've got some events coming up, and I'm going to be doing some actual live production out there, building designs, making things for people while I'm there doing the selling, doing some custom orders. And I needed a place to do it. I will be building a laser safe enclosure on here that's going to be OSHA rated, so that if people want to watch, I don't have to worry about any liability on that. But it's going to be pretty cool. So if you hadn't seen the video on where I started this guy, you may want to see the ones after I get through with it. So be on the lookout for that as well. But anyway, I appreciate you, and I'll drop links to the Etsy store as well down in the description. And I'll also put a link down there in case you missed the little pop-up up top. I'll put a link to the video for the honeycomb adapter, as well as a link to the Etsy store where you can find the honeycomb adapters. And those do work. People keep asking me. I get messages constantly. I put it in the description on Etsy, and I've got videos out there, but people keep missing it. So far, my jig kit and my honeycomb adapter work for both the D1 and the D1 Pro models. Now, the jig kit, I will tell you, there's a slight variation from machine to machine in the spacing of the holes. So when you get that guy and it's a little bit snug, if it's just a little snug to where it kind of causes the wood to bow, that's normal. Just get you a piece of sandpaper, or if you don't have sandpaper, you can use a nail file or whatever, and just kind of rub the inside of the hole towards the center to kind of give that thing a little bit of room. And the reason I did that, guys, is because sometimes the legs are spaced in the middle, sometimes they're a little bit wide. But if I move my design either way, then there's going to be slop on some machines and there's not going to be on the other. And so doing it this way, it allows you to do a little bit of user input. And so if you go a little too far with the sanding and you get some slop in there, then just burn another one and start over. But it doesn't take a whole lot to get those things to line up perfectly. You want it to slide freely without bowing, but you don't want any back and forth slop in that thing. The more accurate it is, the more accurate your jigs will be. But anyway, guys, hit the subscribe button on the way out and go by and check out the Etsy shop if you want any of those things. And until next time, y'all be careful.